Have you ever had that feeling? Like you've got your charts down, indicators make sense, trading plan looks great on paper, but when you actually trade, it's like something's just not clicking, like something's holding you back.
You hit the nail on the head. And that's exactly what we're diving into today, peeling back the layers of trading psychology,
Love it.
really diving deep into Mark Douglas's book, Trading in the Zone.
Classic.
We want to go beyond just summarizing, though, right? We want the real aha moments, the stuff that makes you realize why your mindset is probably the most important thing for consistent profits as a day trader.
So we're getting into the nitty-gritty. We're looking specifically at what Douglas himself is saying, his ideas about how our brains work in this crazy market world. For anyone who's ever felt like the answer to better trading is just one more indicator, or maybe just a little more market analysis, Douglas has some news for us.
He really does. I mean, right off the bat, he basically says, forget about it. He says, and I'm quoting here, to prove to the trader that more or better market analysis is not the solution to his trading difficulties or lack of consistent results. To convince the trader that it's his attitude and state of mind that determine his results.
Whoa. Okay, strong words. But think about it. How many times have we seen super smart people like doctors, engineers, people who analyze for a living, come into trading and completely faceplant?
Right. You'd think they'd be naturals.
Makes you wonder, what's the missing ingredient then, if it's not just about being good at analysis?
That's the big question. And this book argues it's all about how you think.
Mindset.
The consistent winners, they just approach things differently. Market knowledge helps, for sure. But the real game changer is how you handle the uncertainty, the risk.
Because let's be honest, trading is full of uncertainty. It's not like baking a cake. You can't just follow the recipe and get the same result every time.
Exactly. And it's funny, right? Trading is full of these contradictions, stuff that makes sense in everyday life. It can totally backfire in trading.
Give me an example.
Okay, think about risk. It's everywhere in trading, right? Can't avoid it. But so many traders, they spend all their time trying to eliminate it completely.
Yeah, always looking for that guaranteed win.
Which just doesn't exist. And that's why so many get stuck in this cycle. Easy money always feels just out of reach. And the most consistent thing they experience isn't profit. It's that emotional roller coaster, the fear, the frustration.
Tell me about it. So if analyzing more isn't the answer, where do we go from here? I know Douglas dives deep into the power of our beliefs, especially in chapters 8 and 9.
Yeah, those chapters are key. Working with your beliefs and the nature of beliefs. He basically lays out how our beliefs are like these filters. They change how we see market information.
Interesting.
They shape our expectations, influence every trade we make, even how we feel about the results. And the big takeaway for me was, we aren't born with these trading beliefs. We pick them up along the way.
So it's like we create these rules in our heads about how the market works and how we should react to it.
Right. And sometimes those rules are leading us down the wrong path. The tricky part is, a lot of these beliefs, they're hiding in plain sight, like subconscious stuff. You know how you can drive a car and not even think about what you're doing? It's kind of like that.
Autopilot.
Yeah. And those subconscious beliefs can be driving our trading decisions without us even realizing it.
Scary thought. And I know Douglas talks about some pretty powerful fears.
Yeah.
4 of them, right, that he says are responsible for like almost all the mistakes traders make.
Yeah, he calls out the fear of being wrong, fear of losing money, fear of missing out, that FOMO we're all too familiar with, and the fear of leaving money on the table.
Oh yeah, I feel those all the time.
They're sneaky too, because they actually change how we see things. Like if you're terrified of being wrong, you might only pay attention to the info that supports your trade, even if the overall picture is saying something different.
It's like looking through a pair of tinted glasses. You're only seeing part of the picture.
And those distorted views, they lead to bad decisions. Jumping into trades too early, not cutting losses when you should. And the irony is, the fear of being wrong, it often comes from this idea that being wrong equals failure. But in trading, being wrong on individual trades, it's going to happen. It's inevitable. The real shift is to start seeing being wrong as just getting data, information about the probabilities of your edge.
Makes sense. So how do we break free from these fears? I know Douglas talks a lot about risk acceptance.
Big time. He says, learning to accept that risk is always there. It's like this core skill. Once you truly get that every trade could go either way, that losing is always a possibility, it changes everything.
Outside
The market stops feeling like this enemy you gotta fight. It's just information, data points, probabilities.
So instead of trying to create some perfect system risk-free, through endless analysis, which I know he calls the black hole of analysis,
Oh yeah, he's not a fan of that.
we should be shifting our focus to accepting the uncertainty.
Exactly. It's like making peace with the fact that you can't control everything.
Easier said than done, though. Getting to that consistent, calm state of mind doesn't happen overnight. And that's what Chapter 4 is all about, right? Consistency, a state of mind.
Yep. And he emphasizes consistent results, they come from within. From your mental game, not from some secret market formula.
Makes you think. Those winning streaks we all love,
Yeah.
they can be tricky. They make you feel invincible. But are they really showing the whole picture?
Right. It's like a false sense of security, and then when that losing trade hits, bam, it can really knock you off balance.
Oof, yeah. Been there. So Douglas is saying, the really good trades, they should feel effortless.
Yeah, almost like you're in the zone, flow state, if you're forcing it, constantly battling yourself. That's a sign something's off, some internal conflict or fear you haven't dealt with. And you know what's interesting? He says that just wanting something from the market too much, like needing to win, that can actually trigger these pain avoidance mechanisms in our brains, makes us blind to good opportunities.
So it's about being in tune with the market, not trying to force it to give you what you want. But how do you get there? How do you align your thinking with the market's reality?
That's the million-dollar question. And Douglas has some answers. He talks about building this deep belief in probabilities and in your own edge. When you truly believe your system has an advantage over time, you can let go of the need to control every single trade.
It's like that casino owner mentality, right?
Yeah.
They don't know if the next hand of blackjack will win or lose, but they know the odds are in their favor over thousands of hands, and they don't get emotionally attached to each individual result.
Perfect analogy. And Douglas even uses this idea of software code. He's saying even one messed up line of code, one faulty belief can totally wreck an otherwise good trading strategy. The aha moment is when you figure out what's that faulty code in your head.
Okay, that's deep. And Chapter 7 goes even deeper into this idea of thinking in probabilities.
Oh yeah, that chapter's foundational. He lays out 5 core truths, the foundation for a probabilistic mindset. And they are: 1, anything can happen. 2, you don't need to know what is going to happen next to make money. 3, there is a random distribution between wins and losses for any given set of variables that define an edge. 4, an edge is nothing more than an indication of a higher probability of one thing happening over another. 5, every moment in the market is unique.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. The first one, anything can happen, seems pretty straightforward. The market's unpredictable no matter how much research you do. There's always something you can't foresee.
Absolutely. It's a complex system, always changing, tons of factors at play. So trying to be 100% certain about your predictions, it's a losing battle.
And the second truth, you don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money. That challenges the whole idea that good trading is about predicting the future.
Right. It's about having a system with an edge, executing it consistently. Over time, the probabilities will play out. It's a long game, not about being right on every single trade.
And then truths 3 and 4 really solidify that idea. Wins and losses, they happen randomly. Your edge just tilts the odds in your favor, not a guarantee.
Yep. And that 5th truth, every moment in the market is unique, is crucial because our brains are always looking for patterns. But the market, it's like this ever-evolving beast. Every moment has different players, different conditions.
So relying too much on past patterns can be dangerous.
Definitely. Douglas says understanding these 5 truths, it helps us see the market for what it really is, and that reduces emotional risk.
It's about letting go of that need to be right all the time.
Accepting that anything can happen, but you still have an edge, and that's enough.
Back to the casino analogy.
They're pros at probabilities. They lose bets all the time, but it doesn't faze them. They know in the long run they're going to win.
Because the odds are in their favor. Douglas says that wanting to know what will happen next, that's when we make the biggest mistakes.
Right, like not defining your risk, hesitating on your stops, entering trades without confirmation.
It's that need for certainty.
That can really mess you up. But actually putting these principles into practice, that takes work. And Chapter 11 introduces this idea of stages in a trader's development, the mechanical stage being the first.
Okay, tell me more about that.
It's the foundation. The focus is building trust in yourself. Trust that you can execute your plan without letting emotions take over. And really ingraining those 5 truths we talked about so you truly believe in consistency.
Sounds intense.
It is. And a key part of this stage is something he calls the trading exercise, where you commit to taking a certain number of trades purely based on your edge, no second guessing.
Like a test run?
Kinda. He recommends at least 20 trades, sticking to the plan no matter what happens. And the goal isn't even necessarily profit in those 20 trades. It's about creating experiences that prove to yourself you can be consistent and bringing any internal conflicts to the surface.
So even if you're losing in those first 20 trades, you got to keep going. That's got to be tough mentally.
Oh, for sure. That's where the mental game really comes in. The key is to shift your focus from the outcome of each trade to the process of sticking to your rules. Every trade is just data, proof that you can follow through.
Like training your mind to trust the process, not get hung up on individual wins and losses.
Exactly. And he outlines 7 principles for consistency during this stage. Identifying your edges, defining your risk beforehand, accepting that risk, acting without hesitation, taking profits when your plan says to, monitoring yourself for errors, and never breaking those rules.
It's like rewriting the rules in your head, replacing those old fear-based reactions with new, disciplined ones. And the goal is to make consistency automatic, part of who you are as a trader.
Exactly. It shouldn't feel like this constant battle. When it's truly ingrained, you
Yep.
just are consistent. If you're still struggling, it means there's some belief or fear holding you back.
So if we're taking away one big thing from our Trading in the Zone deep dives today, it's that the real trading battlefield is inside our heads.
100%. Mastering the psychology of trading, understanding your beliefs, facing your fears, thinking in probabilities. It's not just a bonus skill, it's the foundation of everything.
It's like the market is a mirror, reflecting our internal state. If we're coming from a place of fear, we're going to see threats everywhere, make bad decisions. But if we're confident, accepting the risk, we're going to see opportunities.
It's all about taking responsibility for our mental state. That's the key to becoming a consistently winning trader.
So as you're listening to this, think about your own beliefs. What's that faulty code in your mental software? What's holding you back from fully embracing a probabilistic mindset?
Yeah, what small change can you make today? What can you experiment with?
This deep dive is really just the tip of the iceberg. Trading in the Zone has a ton more to offer.
I highly recommend checking it out. Really dive into these principles.
They can be game changers. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure.
Until next time.
Happy trading.